partisan forecaster calculated the measure would add $3.3 trillion to the nation's deficit over the next decade.
I would like to start by just taking a moment to thank the clerks who stayed up all night.
Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune helped shepherd what President Donald Trump has dubbed
the One Big Beautiful Bill.
The One Big Beautiful Bill Act toward passage, despite stalwart Democratic opposition and the defections of two members of his own Senate faction. The bill would slash taxes, cut funding for health care programs for the poor, and boost military spending and border security. A version passed the U.S. House of Representatives last month, and some were already balking at the price tag. The Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, on Sunday morning said the Senate version would cost an additional $800 billion.
Republicans are about to pass the single most expensive bill in U.S. history.
Here's Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Look, Republicans can use whatever budgetary gimmicks they want to try and make the math work on paper, but you can't paper over the real-life consequences of adding tens of trillions to the debt.
The U.S. already spends more than it takes in from tax revenues, making up the difference by borrowing. The debt already stands at more than $36 trillion. Democrats say the bill's tax cuts would disproportionately benefit the wealthy at the expense of social programs for lower-income Americans. Republicans, who have long voiced concern about growing U.S. deficits and debt, have rejected the CBO's long-standing methodology to calculate the cost of legislation. And Republicans are using a legislative maneuver to bypass the Senate's 60-vote threshold to advance most legislation in the 100-member chamber. Here's Republican Lindsey Graham.
And we're going to vote on this bill in the coming days, and I'm excited about that.
The fight may have already claimed one casualty. Senator Tom Tillis announced he will not be seeking re-election next year. He was one of two Republican senators to defy Trump and vote against proceeding with this bill. Tillis had said the measure would harm lower-income folks in his state of North Carolina. Trump threatened to back a primary challenger in retribution for Tillis's Saturday night vote against the bill.
Israel's attack on the Evin jail in Iran's capital, Tehran, on June 23rd killed 71 people. That's according to Iranian judiciary spokesperson Asghar Jahangir on Sunday. This eyewitness video, verified by Reuters, shows the immediate aftermath of the strike on Tehran's most notorious jail for political prisoners. At the end of an air war with Iran, Israel struck the facility in a demonstration that it was expanding beyond military and nuclear targets to aim at the pillars of Iran's ruling system. It released these images of Defense Minister Israel Katz, Israel's chief of staff, and other commanders watching strikes on Tehran targets that day. Katz announced in this post on X that Israel's military struck, quote, with unprecedented force, regime targets and government repression bodies in the heart of Tehran, including the headquarters of the besieged paramilitary and US President Donald Trump announced a ceasefire later that day. According to Jahangir's remarks, carried on the judiciary's news outlet Mizan, quote, 71 people were martyred, including administrative staff, youth doing their military service, detainees, family members of detainees who were visiting them, and neighbors who lived in the prison's vicinity. Evin holds a number of foreign nationals, including 2 French citizens detained for 3 years. France's Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot posted on X after Israel's strike that it had put them in danger and was unacceptable. Some in Israel and exiled Iranian opposition groups had hoped the military campaign, which also targeted Iran's Revolutionary Guards, would spark a mass uprising and the overthrow of the Islamic Republic. Trump also raised the possibility of so-called regime change. But since the strikes began, and especially after the ceasefire, authorities have intensified an internal security crackdown across the country. Officials and activists say they've conducted mass arrests, executions, and military deployments, particularly in the restive Kurdish region.
After nearly 200 years of mitigating risk, at FM, we can see what others don't. As leaders in commercial property insurance, our risk engineering approach can protect your business in ways others can't. See more at fm.com.
Sniper dead. I'm Deborah Valentine, Fox News. The Kootenai County Sheriff in Idaho says a man found dead with a rifle next to him is believed to be the sniper who shot and killed 2 firefighters and injured a 3rd firefighter Sunday. Kootenai County Sheriff Robert Norris says the shooter began a brush fire to draw emergency personnel to Canfield Mountain.
We received a phone call that There was a fire on the backside or east side of Canfield Mountain. Fire assets responded to the scene, and at approximately 2 o'clock, firefighters broadcast that they were being shot at.
The third firefighter's in stable condition with life-threatening injuries. More from Fox's Marianne Rafferty.
From Sheriff Bob Norris regarding the ambush and the tragic killing of 2 firefighters as they responded to a forest fire that had been set. Police did find a man with a firearm nearby. They believe that man to be the suspect. The man was found on the mountain where the firefighters were ambushed. The sheriff also confirming that those 2 firefighters were killed and that a third that underwent surgery is in stable condition but had life-threatening injuries. Officials say crews responded around 2 p.m. local time to a brush fire near Coeur d'Alene. When the incident happened, investigators say that the fire was intentionally set as part of that ambush. That fire still burning.
The identity of the shooter has not yet been made public. Motives under investigation. The Senate's in recess until 9 a.m. when lawmakers are expected to continue debating the president's budget and tax agenda.
Sergeant of Arms will restore order in the galley.
U.S. Capitol Police say officers arrested Alan D. Rogers of Florida on a charge of unlawful conduct after he became disruptive outside the Senate gallery during debate of that bill. America's listening to Fox News.
This is Jimmy Fallon, inviting you to join me for Fox Across America, where we'll discuss every single one of the Democrats' dumb ideas. Just kidding. It's only a 3-hour show. Listen live at noon Eastern or get the podcast at foxacrossamerica.com.
Republican Senator Tom Tillis is throwing in the political towel after coming out against President Trump's big spending and tax cut bill.
Republican Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina says he's not running for re-election next year. The announcement came after he opposed President Trump's tax breaks and spending cuts package. Tillis was concerned the Senate's Medicaid provider tax structure will cost his state tens of billions of dollars. Tillis issued a statement saying, in Washington over the last few years, it's become increasingly evident that leaders who are willing to embrace bipartisanship, compromise, and demonstrate independent thinking are becoming an endangered species. President Trump berated Tillis on social media, writing, Tillis is a talker and complainer, not a doer. Jill Nato, Fox News.
Federal authorities say they busted a human smuggling hub tied to national security threats in Los Angeles.
2 people were arrested 2 days ago by federal authorities. And earlier this week, 7 Iranian nationals were arrested at the very same address, including individuals on the FBI terror watch list and associates of an Iranian human trafficking network, according to Customs and Border Protection. CBP says this location has repeatedly been used to harbor illegals linked to terrorism. CBP also released a statement on the matter saying intelligence indicates the smuggling network has trafficked individuals from adversarial regimes, including Iran, posing direct risk to U.S. national security.
That's Fox's Christina Coleman reporting. ICE arrested 130 Iranian nationals in the U.S. last week alone. The Department of Finance Canada announced the country will rescind its digital service tax cuts on U.S. tech companies. It's an effort to advance trade negotiations with the U.S. President Trump called off trade talks with Canada on Friday. I'm Deborah Valentine. This is Fox News.
Hey, it's Kennedy, and I am here to save your 4th of July. Our special episode live from Langens in New York City drops this Wednesday. I'm going to be joined by Rosanna Scotto, Dr. Drew Pinsky, Emily Compagno, and Jimmy Fela. Listen and follow at foxnewspodcast.com.
This Tech Check briefing is sponsored by Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Happy Friday, I'm Deirdre Bosa, and this is your CNBC Tech Check briefing. NVIDIA shares, they are rising for a 5th consecutive day Friday, sending the chipmaker towards new highs as investors shrug off China concerns. The rising shares helping the AI chip giant regain its seat as the world's most valuable company with a market cap of $3.8 trillion, moving it ahead of Microsoft and Apple. NVIDIA faced headwinds and concerns over tariffs and export controls earlier this year. CEO Jensen Huang is warning that restrictions could risk missing out on the $50 billion China market. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has fired the automaker's vice president of manufacturing and operations, Omid Afshar. Afshar worked closely with Musk for years before being promoted to the position less than a year ago. We're documenting.
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. Israel is issuing immediate evacuation orders for parts of northern Gaza, warning it's preparing a new offensive. The Israeli military has been stepping up airstrikes. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his forces will succeed in eliminating Hamas and freeing the remaining hostages. Police are investigating 2 musical groups for incitement to violence and hate speech against Israel at Europe's biggest music festival, Glastonbury, in Western England. Irish rappers Kneecap condemned Israel's actions in Gaza, while punk duo Bob Vylan led chants of death to the IDF. Festival organizers say they're appalled by the rhetoric. The Republican-controlled U.S. Senate is debating a massive tax cuts and spending package that's seen as key to advancing President Donald Trump's second-term agenda. Voting is set to begin later today. With a handful of Republicans still wavering, its passage remains uncertain. This is DW News from Berlin. You'll find more on our website at dw.com.
And this is the Fox Business Report.
In lighter week ahead in the financial world as far as major reports are concerned, the markets will be looking to continue the positive close from Friday as they open for the new trading week this morning. Friday, the Dow was up 432 points. The S&P 500 gained 32. The NASDAQ 106. The S&P and the NASDAQ closing in new all-time highs, the first for the S&P since February 19th, the first of the year altogether for the NASDAQ. The president making a surprising announcement concerning TikTok Sunday during an interview with Maria Bartiromo on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures.
We have a buyer for TikTok, by the way. I think I'll need probably China approval, and I think President Xi will probably do it. Fine. I'll tell you in about 2 weeks.
Congress passed legislation last year forcing ByteDance, the Chinese owner of the app, to sell off TikTok due to national security concerns. President Trump has since extended the deadline for TikTok to go dark 3 times. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Kevin Uretsky, invested in you.
Thanks for listening. Do you like true crime podcasts? If so, check out Unsolved with James Patterson. Listen ad-free on Amazon Music, or just say, Alexa, play the podcast Unsolved with James Patterson on Amazon Music.